Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Songwriting Simplified with me, Jonny Lipsham, right here at Jonny Lipsham Studios, here in Scotland, the known capital. Well, known. If nobody knows it by now, then they darn well should do by now. Of course, Scotland being the capital of the entire universe and other universes and other metaverses, etc., in all known realities. There we go. I don't know if I can keep doing this, but it keeps me amused, and hopefully it keeps you guys amused as well. But yeah, I hope everybody is doing well and has had a good week so far. I've had an excellent week, and today probably got better than I could have possibly anticipated, in that the speakers that I have been waiting for since September, actually, have finally arrived, and they are on my shelf with my screen and everything, and they are on and they are running. They are working right now, and they sound absolutely awesome. I got the new Eris 6 Pros, and they are great. They are bigger than the ones I had before. I had the old Eris E5s, and I had those since 2017. And pretty much as soon as the Eris Pro 6s were launched in, I think it was the end of August. It might have even been kind of early in September, I think they were launched. I was able to get my hands on a pair of them. However, due to logistics and incredibly high demand for stock, I got kind of passed over a wee bit, but they're here. They finally arrived. And this is like the first shipment of Eris Pro 6s in the UK. It's not the first shipment ever, but this is like the first shipment of the Christmas period. So yeah, it's pretty cool. But I did have to wait for them, and I've been waiting, I think, pretty patiently. But they are great, and they certainly pack a punch, being that they are 6-inch speakers instead of the 5 inches ones that I had before. And there's definitely a little bit more low-end punch than there was with the old Eris E5s, which, you know, for their size, certainly did have a good amount of low end, but these definitely have a lot more. And with the coaxial position of the tweeters as well, you get nice controlled highs as well. So overall, so far, and I've only had them running for a few hours, they sound pretty great. So I'm really looking forward to getting used to them. So that's kind of the really good news, which I'm really excited about, and they sound fantastic, and I'm really enjoying them already. I have not properly calibrated them yet. That's something I still have to do, and I think I will need to make one or two tweaks. There's like an EQ that's on the back of them, and I am going to have to make one or two corrections. I kind of suspected I might have to, but you know, now that I've got them here, yes, I do need to make those changes, but that's actually a good thing that, you know, I can do that. So it's very cool. So that's kind of the great news. The not so great news, that's actually a little bit sad for the Presonus and the Studio One community, is for those of you that knew Martin Weeks, who was a harmonica player, and he composed some music as well and did some music for sync licensing, that kind of thing. That's kind of one of the things he was into. He very sadly passed away just a day or two ago, which is very sad. I knew Martin for maybe about 5 or 6 years, maybe a little bit longer than that. And he was actually a really nice guy, and you know, in his younger days had worked with some actually pretty well-known people in the music business, and certainly knew some of the people that I knew as well, which was amazing. But very sadly, he had been ill for quite a long time, for maybe like the last the last 3 or 4 years, he's been quite seriously unwell, and has been kind of housebound. And then I think maybe towards the end of last year, he went into a hospice unit where he was being cared for, and very sadly, he passed away. So that's very sad news. And so I thought that, at the start of the show, that I would share that. Martin and I didn't always see eye to eye. We didn't always get along. But when we did get along, he was very, very good fun, and he was very good to talk to. And if there was one thing he was really, really passionate about, and that was the people of the Studio One community. He was really passionate about us folk. And he was a very, very strong supporter and advocate of Jonny Gibe and his home studio trainer channel. And so by extension, he also was quite the supporter of what I do as well. So I was very sad when I found out the news that he had died. I was very sad. So to that end, tonight's show is dedicated to him and his memory. So that is kind of the sad news that I wanted to share with everybody. So yeah, tonight's show is dedicated to the memory of Martin Weeks. But it's great to see a good number of people here already, which is awesome. And I can see that Chris Ragnar was once again first in the door. Well done, Chris. And he says, good evening, gentlemen. And we are predominantly gentlemen here. I don't see any ladies here currently, but I'm fairly confident that we might get some through in the course of this evening, because we do have some female folks that watch these shows. So yeah, I'm fairly sure we'll get some. Billy Morgan is also here, and we have Sean Aaron. We've got Mike Johnson, who is currently residing in the Philippines, and we got Daryl Harrison here too, and we got Ron Figura. We got, who else do we have? We got Dwayne here as well. We got Just Bob, and we have Don Oliver, and we got Kyle Traduziak, who has just placed a Domino's order. Are you ordering like a set of Domino's to play the game, or are you talking about pizza? I'm assuming you're talking about pizza, because it would be a strange time of the night to just randomly order a set of Domino's. But that's okay. Each to their own. And Gardner99 is here as well, which is great. And Kevin from Kevin's Guitar Stories is here. And Brett Marler is here, who says R.I.P. Martin. Yes, absolutely. And Danny Taylor is here as well. So yes, if you feel that you would like to share your thoughts about Martin, then you are most welcome to do so. Mike Johnson says, yes, knew Martin well. He introduced me to Studio One and Home Studio Trainer back in the day. Yeah, that was what he did. He kind of hooked people up with Jonny and said, hey, if you're getting into Studio One and you're beginning to learn Studio One, then Jonny Gibe is the person to get to know and watch his videos. So that was all very cool that he did that. And yeah, that's definitely very true of him. Just Bobby is here. He says, I lost my account for a few weeks with Splice. Had a card that was closed and didn't realize payment didn't go through. Corrected now. Okay, cool. That's good to hear. Let's see, what else do we have? So, let's see. I'm just going through the chat. I've had to move my monitor actually over, my screen over a wee bit because to accommodate these speakers, because they are a wee bit bigger than my previous ones. So I've had to rearrange things ever so slightly. But anyway, that's kind of okay. All right, so this show tonight is the last show before the closing date for the Christmas Songwriting Challenge. So for those of you that are not aware of this and what this is, the closing date is Sunday, end of show on Sunday night. So when we get to the end and I'm playing Silent Night at the end of Sunday night's show, that is the time that the door closes on this contest. So what is this challenge? Well, I've partnered again with Rich Cresswell, who has very kindly and very generously offered to sponsor this challenge. And he has provided a whole bunch of materials. We created a workspace in Studio One Plus. You don't have to be a Studio One Plus member to be able to get access to it. All you need is a my.presonus.com account. If you have Studio One or Presonus hardware, then you have a My Presonus account. So you are qualified already from that point of view. That's step one. Step two is to reach out to Rich Cresswell. And one of my awesome moderators will provide a link to how you do that, because I don't think Rich is here tonight, because he is kind of on a break right now. But excuse me. But so that's step two. Step two is reaching out to Rich. Once you have reached out to Rich, then he will send you an invite to the workspace. And once you're invited to the workspace, you will find that there are a couple of carols that have already been set up that you can download the material for those two carols from, and you can use that as a basis for doing a remix or a rearrangement or something like that. Or you can basically pick a Christmas carol of your own choice, or and kind of do a rearrangement of that, a new arrangement of that carol, or you can write your own Christmas song. And we have so far had 20. I think we've actually gone past 20 now. We've had 20 entries so far. Now, cool thing about this is, just like the Halloween challenge, there is a prize that can be won. What that prize is, not 100% sure yet, but there is definitely going to be a very cool prize. There was a cool prize available for the winner of the Halloween challenge, which was Sean Aaron. Sean Aaron, I think he got himself a microphone, as I recall correctly. So something like that, some kind of audio recording gear or something like that is what you will get. So this sets up 2024 quite nicely. 2024, Songwriting Simplified and Sunday Night Live are going to get a little bit better, a little bit more involved. I'm going to be inviting some guests to come into both shows if they are available. Sometimes they won't be available and I'll be just doing the show like we normally do it. But I'm going to be talking to different guests about different aspects of music production, different aspects of composing, songwriting, arranging, and that kind of thing. So there'll be kind of joint shows when we do those. Plus, we will have more songwriting challenges throughout the course of 2024. So we will do another Christmas one, and we will, without doubt, do another Halloween one. Those are probably going to be the two main contests of 2024. But my plan is to do some other smaller challenges throughout the course of the year. Now, some of these challenges will have prizes, some of them won't. Some of them, it would just be bragging rights. But the idea is that these challenges are going to stretch your creativity and get you working on music in a way that maybe you haven't thought about working on music before. And so they are going to be not just for songwriters, but there are going to be challenges for mixing and challenges for mastering as well, because I want to make sure that we don't miss out on our mixing and mastering people here, because we have some excellent mix engineers and some excellent mastering engineers who are part of this community as well. So I will be getting some great mixing engineers on the show, where we will talk all things mixing. And also, I am going to try and get hold of Darren, aka Smudge, to come and do some mastering shows with me as well, because I think that would be fantastic, because he is really knowledgeable. I'm going to also try and get hold of Brandon Olshouse, who is another fantastic young mastering engineer, who has been doing some fantastic work and has actually been involved in some major label work recently. So I definitely would like to get him on the show as well and get his thoughts on the mastering process. So I've got plenty of things lined up for 2024 and some people that I need to talk to to get their involvement in, but these are kind of things that I want to do for you guys for 2024. All of this content is of course free, 100% free. I don't take any kind of payments, or I don't do any sponsored ads or anything like that. But you know, like I said, I have some partners who help make all of this happen, and so we definitely want to give some thanks to those people. Rich Cresswell is one of them, because he has really helped me step up the whole kind of challenges and contest thing to the next level, which has been fantastic. And I'm very, very appreciative of Rich and all that he does for this community and for all that he has done for me and for my channel as well. But also I want to give a very, very big mention, very big shout out to Louis from Alps Media. Louis has been fantastic since he came on board and decided that he would sponsor both of these two shows every week, which he does, and he has been fantastic. He has provided me with some great resources. He helps with the website. He, in fact, built the new JonnyLipshamStudios.co.uk website. That's all he's doing, and that's all kind of part of my partnership with him. I'm very proud to be partnered with him and all that he does as a PreSonus reseller selling PreSonus gear. So if you're in the United States and in the North America kind of area and you're after PreSonus gear, get in touch with Louis at Alps Media LLC, and you will bag yourself a really great deal on PreSonus gear. So please go ahead and do that. If you're after, like, for example, a set of the new Eris Pro 6s, which is what I now have. If you're after a pair of those or anything else PreSonus, then hook yourself up with Louis and he will get you a great deal, and you'll not be disappointed. So Louis is probably the main man for Jonny Lipsham Studios, and hopefully will continue to be so for the foreseeable future. And I'm very glad to be partnering with Rich Cresswell and maybe some other people as well for certain different things going down the line into 2024. So there's lots to look forward to from this channel in 2024. So if you're not subscribed, please do it. Please subscribe. And please also hit that notification bell and select all notifications. That way you don't miss a thing. You don't miss any of these shows that I do twice a week. And also you don't miss the other content that I put out on this channel. For example, whenever there is a new version of Studio One or a major update to Studio One, I always do an overview of the new features. So if that's something that really interests you and you want to check out the new features in the next new release of Studio One, that's, you know, of a particular important release, then be subscribed to this channel, because I will put out an overview video that covers the main highlights of new features. I probably, like I've said in my other overview videos, there's no way I can cover every feature that's new to Studio One, because there are usually too many. Like, for example, Studio One 6.5, there were 70 brand new features, of which probably the main highlight was Dolby Atmos. But, you know, there were a load of others as well that you didn't want to miss out on. So, you know, the next version or the next major update for Studio One, be subscribed to this channel, have that notification bell turned on so you don't miss those overview videos. Plus, I put out a whole bunch of other things, like if I come across something cool that I like for example, that spring reverb that is a free plugin from Klanghelm. I put a video out on that recently, and it's very, very cool. It's a really, really great spring reverb. And like I said, there's a paid version that you can get from klanghelm.com, or you can get the free version of it, which is just as good, in my opinion. The free version is fantastic, which means the paid version is going to be even better. So, you know, whichever you want to do. But if I find cool things like that, I'm going to bring them to you so that you know about them and you can go check them out for yourself. So that's kind of 2024. There's some exciting things coming. I'm really excited about the future of this channel. We are fast approaching 5,400 subscribers. I would like very much to get to 6,000 subscribers as soon as possible. So please subscribe. Please tell your friends. Please tell your friends' tennis partners. Please tell your friends' tennis partners' sisters. Please tell your friends' tennis partners' sisters' boyfriends, and get them all over here. All right. If you guys have got any questions about the songwriting challenge, please get them in the chat. If you're having any struggles with the challenge, also please get those in the chat. That would be awesome. And any mention of bagpipes will be overlooked. All right, let's see. Just Bob says, if you can contact Martin's Messenger account, it is still open. Linda will see any messages. So if you want to send condolences and words of encouragement to Linda, then you can do that via Martin's Messenger account. If you are on Messenger and you've been in touch with Martin before, then certainly do that. I am confident that she would appreciate it, especially if you actually knew Martin and were connected with him on Facebook. Then yes, I would suggest doing that. Otherwise, you know, I would maybe not recommend doing that if you've not really been connected with Martin. That way she doesn't get bombarded with people that she has no idea about. But still, yeah, words of encouragement and love and support, I think she would appreciate at this time. Billy Morgan has Rich's contact for Studio One Plus, so that you can get yourself involved in the Christmas challenge. Let's see. Bobby Booth says, I'll stay with my Eris 4.5s. Yeah, the 4.5s are pretty darn good. There is a new version of the Eris 4.5s, by the way, which you might want to avail yourself of, Bobby, because I know that your room is maybe not the biggest room, and so, you know, small speakers probably would suit you better. Let's see, what else do we have? You guys are talking about glossy photos of me in my kilt. My God. Let's see. Anthony Tones is here. Hello, Anthony. I believe you're new, so welcome. This is Songwriting Simplified. So if you've got a question about songwriting, composing, or arranging, or any music theory questions, please do get those into the chat. I seem to recall that Chris Manrachner on Sunday had a question that was more aimed towards this show, and I asked him to post that question here. Chris, if you're watching, please do get that question into the chat here so that we can take care of that question that you had. Because I would like to do that. Let's see. Bobby Booth still cannot see Billy's comments. That's very strange, because I can see them. And I am fairly confident that other people can see his comments as well, so that's weird. Neil Thompson is here. He says he's late to the party. Yes, you're only like 30 minutes late to the party, but that's okay. That's all good. We have not had any questions yet, so this might actually be a short show. Because if I don't get any questions, then pretty much that is going to be the end of the show. Yeah, Mike says he sees all of Billy's comments as well. Yes, I certainly do as well. So I don't know why you wouldn't see them, Bobby, unless maybe he's blocked you or you've blocked him or something like that. Something like that might have happened. Yeah, so if anybody has any questions about either the Christmas Songwriting Challenge or anything else to do with songwriting, then please do get those in the chat. Brett says, I think your mic switched off on you. Really? Anyone getting that? Anyone getting like noise and stuff? I don't see that there is any extraneous noise, and I'm looking at all the metering in OBS. Yeah, it all looks good to me. So if anyone else is seeing anything going on. Okay, Brett says something weird with the external phone audio. Right, okay. All right, so Chris Maragna has just said wall of sound. Yes, he had a question about wall of sound, and I think we kind of talked a little bit about wall of sound and Phil Spector and all of that last week from a kind of music production point of view. We did that on Sunday. So from the songwriting point of view, what is the wall of sound? Well, the wall of sound, as much as it's about massive, huge reverbs, like plate reverbs and sometimes spring reverbs as well, it involved lots and lots of musicians. So, for example, the Beatles record that Phil Spector produced, it had things like a full orchestra and a choir and a brass band, and all of those things kind of were going on at the same time as the four guys were doing what they do. So, you know, Ringo on drums, George on guitar, John on guitar, and Paul on bass, and, you know, overdubbing on piano sometimes. And John also overdubbing on piano sometimes as well. So as well as having those guys as kind of like the rhythm section and the vocals, then you had all of those other things going on as well. So you had massive orchestral arrangements, full choral arrangements. So the idea was to make the song as big as possible. And it's not easy to achieve, and it's not easy to mix either. So the more elements you have in a mix, the more you've got to start playing kind of like Tetris with all of these different things to make them all fit together so that you can hear all of the elements of the mix. So every instrument in the orchestra, every voice in the choir, and as well as the band, you want to be able to hear all of those elements without anything masking anything else. That is a challenge. Plus, you've also got to accommodate the big reverbs, which was a big part of the wall of sound as well. Now, that Beatles record that Phil Spector produced, let's just say the Fab Four didn't like it very much. In fact, they reissued the record with all of that stuff removed. So it was just them, and not the orchestra, and not the choir, and not the brass band, and all of that. They basically got rid of all of that and stripped it all back to bare bones basics. So there are effectively two versions of this record that are going about. And it's, yeah. Wall of Sound was kind of a big thing that Phil Spector and maybe a couple of other producers that were around him kind of developed. And let's just say it was kind of it was something you either loved or you hated. For the most part, growing up as a kid, I was probably way too young to understand everything that was going on from the mixing standpoint, but certainly from the music and the compositional and the arrangement standpoint. I mean, I've been writing songs since I was about 5 or 6 years old, and I've been, composing tunes, instrumental tunes, since probably around about the same kind of age. So I've always been keenly aware of things like balance, things like orchestration between different elements of the arrangement. So strings, woodwinds, brass, percussion, and if you're talking orchestrally, or if you're talking in terms of a horn section or a big band, then we're talking about reeds and brass and kind of balancing those two sounds together. So I was aware from a music point of view, maybe not kind of like a mix engineer point of view, but certainly from the arranging standpoint. And I never did like it. I always thought that it was over the top. I always thought it was just too much, especially if the song was simple, or if the song was, the lyrical content was kind of, let's just say, emotionally raw. I thought kind of all of that overproduction was just too much. It kind of destroyed the rawness of the songs. And so for that reason, I'm not really a big fan of Wall of Sound. I don't think it does very much for production, and I don't really think it does very much for songwriting. But I can see where there are occasions where you might want it. For example, if you're writing a piece of music that is very, very, very bold and triumphal and has a big personality, then Wall of Sound might be something you want to get involved in, because you can give the song a larger than life sound that might suit the personality of the song. It's not going to work for every song, that's for sure. But certainly for those kind of songs where you just want to be big and bold and loud and in the listener's face, then Wall of Sound might be an option. However, I think music production has moved on quite a bit in the years since kind of Wall of Sound kind of started happening. We don't tend to use reverbs in quite the same way as we did in the 60s and the 70s and into the early 80s. We tend to be maybe a little bit more subtle about how we use reverbs now compared to back then, where the reverbs were very, very obvious. So from that point of view, kind of, I think everything has kind of moved on a bit. And so Wall of Sound is probably just something that is out of fashion. Who knows when it will come back into fashion? Because as you know, kind of, trends with arts and music tend to be cyclical. So something that was popular 100 years ago may actually start to re-emerge, or something that was popular 50 years ago might start to re-emerge, just kind of from a slightly different perspective, or with a slightly different, more modern twist, but it's certainly old ideas. So that kind of thing can certainly happen. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of it. I'll be honest. It is also a challenge. Also a third challenge. Imagine Phil Spector navigating mic placement. Yeah, you're not kidding. Let's see. Neil says the audio is sounding excellent. Good, thank you. Yeah, I think that was something local to Brett, actually. Anthony appears to have a question, and I want to make sure I don't miss it. Where is your question, Anthony? Here it is. Can I do Jingle Bell Rock for the Songwriting Challenge? Well, that on its own presents its own challenge, and that is, it's probably not public domain. and so it's probably still within copyright. If it's still within copyright, it's probably not a good idea, especially if we play it on the show, which is what we tend to do. It's what we did with the challenge for Halloween. Is we play like 5 or 6 of the entries, and if we happen to play yours and it's Jingle Bell Rock, the stream could actually be taken down midstream by YouTube for copyright violation. And I don't want that to happen, because that might make streaming difficult in the future. So if you could maybe choose something that's a little bit more public domain, if you type into Google Christmas songs that are public domain, you will find that there are a couple of very, very good websites that actually provide you with a list of what is and is not public domain of popular Christmas songs. And you'll find that there's absolutely loads. And you'll also find that there are some pleasant surprises of Christmas songs that you may think are not public domain, but actually are public domain. So that is definitely worth checking out for sure. Anthony says, remember that John and George both played that Fender bass bass 6 string on Let It Be. Yes, they did. You're absolutely right. They played different sections of it. Danny Taylor says, ideas on writing bridge sections. Well, that's quite a broad question, but in general, when we talk about a bridge, what does a bridge do? It links two things together. So you want it to join one section of a song to another. So in most popular songs, it tends to join maybe a chorus to a solo section, or a chorus, a verse to the final chorus of the song. So you might get verse, chorus, and then you'll get this bridge section, which tends to, but not always, tends to have some new material that has not been previously heard in the song. So maybe it'll be in a different key with a different set of chord changes. And the idea is that it starts to build up towards what we would call in popular music circles, we would call a send-off into either the final chorus or into a guitar solo or a trumpet solo or a saxophone solo or something like that before you go into the final chorus. So you can change key. So if you're writing in G major, and you want to really waken up the listener's ears. So let's say you're doing, where's the parentheses there? I don't know. But let's say you're doing something that's kind of, very kind of standard. Everyone knows these chord changes. So let's say you're doing this. You could go to a distant key, either by doing a 5-1, and we've talked about this before, by going, let's say we're going to go to E flat major, and we're on this chord 5 in G, so we could just do a start to move back towards the key of G for your final chorus. So something like that. So a good descending bass line will get you there every time, So back in this E flat, maybe your last line could go. back in the key of G major thanks to a very nice 2-5-1. So what did I do there? I went E flat, descending bass line, D flat in the bass, A flat major with the third in the bass, so over C, and then B major, B flat minor, or B flat major, whichever you want to do, and then A minor, D7, and now you're back in G major for your final chorus. Or, you know, let's say you're in G major, but your guitar player wants to play their guitar solo in E major. So you use your bridge as a way to get to the key of E. All right. So you can meander through a couple of different related keys before you get there. So for example, we're in G major. And we want to go to the key of E, but we want to maybe visit a few different keys on the way. So maybe we'll go to A major first. So and then maybe C sharp minor. So now we're in G flat major. Use this as a 2-5-1 to get you into E, and now your guitar player is ready to go. All right, and then you do whatever they're going to do there. So maybe you do, and this is the guitar solo. Now you're back in the key of G major, just like that. So what did we do there? So we did the chord changes for that E major section were E, G sharp minor, A, and then I did this. I did a B flat or A sharp diminished to B minor, to E7, A minor, D7. And that gets you back into the key of G. So there's different applications for a bridge. It's either going to link between a chorus and a guitar solo, or a verse and another chorus, or into the final chorus, which you want to be really, really big. So that's where key changes is, even if you're going to different key changes temporarily, like I did there. I was in G major, and then I went to, I did a 5-1 to A major, and then I did a 2-5-1 in G flat, and then I used that to be able to go 2-5-1 in E. And that was where the guitar solo would start. So 2-5-1 there being A sharp minor, B7, E. So, and then of course your trick then is to navigate your way back to G major, which is what I did. And now we're back in G major. So I hope that gives you some ideas of what you can do to not only get from one key to another, but also it's a great way to wake up your listeners' ears by changing keys, because you take the listener on another little meandering, unexpected journey before you get to a particular spot where you've got a guitar solo in a particular key. And then you do another little bit of meandering before you arrive back in the key of G major. That's the home key. That's where you started the song. And that's where the final chorus is. with, you know, your big horn section and every element that is in your song is in at that point. That's kind of how I would do it. And it's a fun little challenge for you as an arranger, and it's a fun little challenge for you as a producer. It's a fun little challenge for you as a songwriter as well, to kind of parse these ideas. This is why it is so important that you have embedded and ingrained into your system things like 2-5-1s, because they are so important for being able to navigate between one key and another key. Because they, you know, if you know how to do a 2-5-1 in any key, then not only does it unlock all of those other keys for you, but it means that a bridge can effectively just write itself, because you can do just a series of 2-5-1s in different keys before you arrive at your ultimate destination key for the solo section or the final chorus, whatever it might be. So 2-5-1s are critical to being able to take your songwriting and your arranging to the next level. And I know everybody says, hey, you know, buy my course, it'll take you to the next level, or watch my videos, it will take you to the next level. I'm not a big fan of that saying, it will take you to the next level, because, you know, for a start, it's a bit of a pithy saying, and it's not necessarily always true. And when people kind of guarantee that it'll take you to the next level, it doesn't necessarily do that. But in this particular case, you know, it's like, if you want to build really, really good houses, you have to have not only really good tools, but you also need to know how those tools work. And, you know, as with anything creative, anything artistic, you are always learning, and you're always developing, and you're always acquiring new tools, new skills, better ways of doing things, you know, which is why, you know, when you first get into mixing, you learn how to use the built-in effects, like the built-in EQ, the built-in compressor, the built-in reverbs, the built-in delays that are built into your DAW already. So that's where you start. And then, you know, as you grow and as you develop, you know, it's like with, you know, painting, you start with primary colors because they're easy. And it's the building blocks of painting is primary colors. But as you grow and as you develop in your craft and your skill, you learn how to mix paints and to make other colors. And you learn how to make shades of those colors and different tones and timbres of those colors. And so your paintings become gradually more and more sophisticated and more multi-layered. And your eyes become more acutely tuned to layering different textures and different shades and different colors together. And, you know, it's funny that I'm using that analogy because I don't see any color at all. I'm completely colorblind. I'm part of the 1% of the planet's population that sees no color. That's me. But I think the analogy still stands. And so that's why, you know, understanding things like a 2-5-1, they're so important, because if you don't have these things under your belt, you're not going to be able to crack that wall into the next phase of your development, into the next, you know, kind of undiscovered country of music making that you could get into, which is waiting for you to explore, waiting for you to discover. But 2-5-1s, whether major 2-5-1s or minor 2-5-1s, are what is going to unlock the whole thing for you. And once you know the formula, once you know how it works, once you know how a major 2-5-1 and a minor 2-5-1 work, boom, you can go from any key to any key in the whole of music, right? You can go from any major key to any major key, from any minor key to any minor key, from any major key to any minor key, because you know how to do it. And it's just a case of learning it in all 12 major keys, all 12 minor keys. And once you've got it, and you can go anywhere. It gives you total and utter freedom for music making. And with that, I'm going to end the sermon. But yeah, I'm really passionate about that. From not just a musicological point of view, but from a creation point of view, a making music point of view. Some people they'll go through their entire life just playing three chords, G, C, and D, or E, A, and B, and that's all they know, and they'll write their songs based on that. But what if they knew the power of 251s? If they knew that, imagine the world of musical discovery that would open up before them, and they would write songs that they never even imagined writing. Let's see, what do we got? I'm just going back over the chat real quick to make sure I'm not missing anything here. Okay. Bear with me a moment. Okay, Radio Talk Trumpet, that's my good friend Keith over in Canada. He says, perfect, you just explained what I do for practice, adding blacks left to right, then back around and go. Yeah. Yep, that's good. And I think we got the Massachusetts meet up for Studio One meet up at 8 p.m. Central. That's going to be 2 a.m. here and 3 a.m. in Europe if you're in Europe. And Billy's got the link to that. John Hawk says, I have to pay more attention to 251s. I think we all do. I mean, I've been using them for, 40 years. But, I still don't completely have it down yet. Mike says, going to the music store today and grab a cheap keyboard and sustain pedal. Awesome. I'm very glad to hear that. Neil says, the wall of sound came to be because Phil wanted to take rock and roll production for AM radio to the next level. There's that phrase, the next level. Daryl Harrison says, thank you so much. Daryl, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. This is kind of what I hope to do with my shows, is really, really, kind of open up music making to you folks in a way that maybe you've not thought about it before. And yes, that does mean, going on a little voyage of harmonic discovery and discovering sounds that you've never used before. Now, I talk a lot about jazz harmony because jazz harmony is something I'm very passionate about. But here's the thing, jazz harmony, in my opinion, should not be exclusively for jazz. Bring it into country music. I hate country music, but please bring jazz harmony into country music. Bring it into classical music, which is, by the way, where it comes from in the first place. Jazz harmony is derived directly from, the harmonic language of, Ravel, Debussy, Dvorak, Scriabin, Bartók, all of those people, Tchaikovsky, all of their harmonic language is kind of, it made its way into jazz. And so that's how we ended up with like 13 flat nines, 13 flat 5, flat 9 chords and stuff like that. All of those kind of weird sounding chords that, when you see them on a piece of paper, it looks like a what you would call a very strong password. By the way, if you are struggling for making a very strong password, go look up chords in a chord dictionary or a chord diagram and use those. They are the strongest passwords on the fecking planet. And I nearly swore, but that's how cool I think chord symbols are. Because you can put in, C sharp, maj, 7, hash, 9, hash, 5. Nobody is going to guess that unless you're watching this show. But even so, there are so many possible permutations of chords and chord symbols that your passwords are going to be like Fort Knox. So I recommend it. Jazz chords for passwords. We need jazz on bagpipes. There's actually a lady, I don't know where she's from. She's a trumpet player, but she also plays bagpipes in the way that you would play harmonica for jazz, which is playing it cross harp. So she plays bagpipes in that, using, appropriating that technique, but for bagpipes. And she's absolutely mental. She's completely nuts, but she plays amazing blues bagpipes. And I'm not a big fan of bagpipes because they're fundamentally out of tune. But I tell you what, she does things with bagpipes, with improvisation and blues and jazz that I never thought was possible. She's absolutely amazing. So if you search for jazz bagpipes, you are very likely to come across her, and she's absolutely fecking nuts. But it's hilarious to watch, and it's hilarious to listen to. So definitely go check that out. Also, there's a guy that plays bassoon. He plays like John Coltrane pieces on bassoon, and it's amazing. That you'd never think the bassoon is a jazz instrument, but seriously, he makes it into a jazz instrument with some really, really compelling arrangements of Coltrane's music, and some great improvising that I didn't think was possible on bassoon. I didn't think you could bend notes on a bassoon, but seriously, this guy does it. It's amazing. So that's something else for you guys to check out. Keith says, this is a gold mine of sampling for RTF. Yeah, it probably is. Hearing me saying fecking so frequently and all of that. Yeah, probably is. All right, so I think we'll call it there, folks. So I hope that today's show was useful and helpful to you. If you're as excited about 2024 as I am, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that notification bell. Select all notifications when you do that so that you don't miss a thing, because I've got a bunch of things lined up for 2024. I've got shows for Songwriting Simplified and Sunday Night Live, which are going to be really, really great. Probably the best content that I've put out on this channel. Plus, I've got other plugin review videos and all sorts of other standalone content that's going to come at different points for next year. I'm also going to start making some Notion content. So for all of you guys that are into music notation and are interested in what Presonus makes for notation and that kind of thing, then I'm going to start making some Notion content so that you guys can dip your toes into that gargantuanly massive ocean, which I can heartily recommend. We have a couple of notation products. In fact, we've got 3, really. We've got Notion 6 that's been around for probably about 10 years, 15 years or so. And we have got Notion Mobile, which is, it says Notion Mobile, but it's more than that. It's so much more than just a mobile app. It's available on iPad, iPhone, Android, Mac, and PC with the same sound sets, the works. It sounds fan-blooming-tastic, and it's got more features in it actually, and better features actually, than Notion 6. It's kind of older, parent, I guess, is probably what it is. Plus also in Studio One, from Studio One 5, we have the score editor as well. So that's kind of Notion in 3 different places. So if you want to dip your toes into that, I've got some content coming in 2024 that's going to help you do that. So with that in mind, folks, we are going to be going over to the Studio One meetup in about an hour. So I don't know if there's going to be an after show before that meetup or not. But if there is, then please do come and join me then. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming out. I'm just going to check out on how many people we had. We peaked at 22, which is not bad for Songwriting Simplified. It's not too bad at all. Thank you very much, everybody. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe. I know I said subscribe about 50 times and all of that, and you're probably fed up with it, but please do that. It helps me, it helps you, and it helps everybody. So until Sunday, which will, as I said, it's the closing of the songwriting challenge for this Christmas. So I will see you on Sunday night for Sunday Night Live. And then on the Wednesday next week, it will be the grand final of the Christmas Songwriting Challenge, and the winner will be picked and announced. All right, folks, see you then. Take care and good night.